At the Quartermain home, Michael accuses Willow of marrying Drew for legal reasons. He tells her that if she marries the man, she would never see their children again. Willow responds that after she and Drew are married, she will have a chance at obtaining partial custody. Michael rants at her, telling her that her relationship with Drew is why she lost custody in the first place, and that he will never allow Drew to be a part of their children's life. Willow informs Michael that he has been difficult from the beginning, and that he refused to see her when she went to Germany. Michael claims no one notified him she was there, but she claims the receptionist informed her that he refused to see her. Michael claims that makes no sense. Willow claims Michael is hiding her children from her as punishment for falling in love with Drew. Michael claims he would never do that, but she informs him that it is exactly what he is doing. Michael says he will not stop her from enjoying this bizarre dream life with Drew, but he will not allow her to pull his children into it. Willow informs Michael that she is marrying Drew and reclaiming her children, and there is nothing he can do to prevent it. She storms out. Jason and Sunny discuss Sidwell. At Sunny's, he tells Jason about running into D.A. Turner at softball practice, and she has no idea that her key witness against him is about to disappear. Jason says Natalia's house is ready, and Sunny says as soon as she drops the incriminating paperwork, she will be shipped to Belize. Jason has one concern, which is that Natalia may have told Sidwell what she knows. Natalia hates Sunny, therefore he doubts she would have told him. Even without Natalia, Sidwell will find a way to get them. Sunny was unable to reach an agreement with Sidwell to sell him his peers, and they must now prepare for the consequences. Lucy offers to help Sidwell. Lucy meets Sidwell for lunch at Metro Court Gardens, and appears angry when she learns he invited Marco to join them. Marco comes and Sidwell informs Lucy that he had planned to make a sale with Sunny's peers, but he declined his offer. Lucy suggests that she might be able to make the transaction work, and she'll go see Sunny right now. Sidwell calls her an angel and gives her a hug. Carly turns Nina down. Carly asks Nina why she believes she can separate Willow from Drew this time. Nina argues that if Willow can see the kids without Drew, she will gradually learn that she does not need Drew's help to keep the kids around. Carly informs her that she is still dreaming, and Drew continues to make decisions. Carly informs Nina that it is her responsibility to find a way to prevent Willow from marrying Drew, as no one else can. Portia calls out Jordan. At the pool, Portia confronts Jordan for spending all day entertaining her husband and causing problems in her marriage. Jordan informs her that she and Curtis are friends and remain relatives. Jordan advises Portia to be a lady and stand up. Jordan believes Portia is solely responsible for the breakdown of her marriage. Isaiah stands on the sidelines as Portia tosses a drink in Jordan's face. Isaiah rushes over and tells Portia she should join him. Portia advises Jordan to keep out of her marriage. Isaiah pulls Portia aside as she yells about needing to deal with this once and for all. She receives a text and responds, "Now is my chance." Portia departs and Jordan thanks Isaiah for interfering. She can't believe Portia acted so out of control. Isaiah claims he saw her with Curtis, and Portia had reason to be concerned. Lucy makes an offer. Lucy arrives at Sunny's with a basket of oranges. Jason takes off and Lucy wants to speak with Sunny about his peers. Sunny asks if Sidwell sent her, but she says no. She's here to get him and Laura out of this tricky situation with Measure C. Sunny claims he rejected Sidwell down because he's a nasty person. Lucy claims they are all in business together, Deception's stock is skyrocketing, and they could earn even more money if Sidwell owned those cargo docks. Sunny is concerned that he won't only ship minerals. Nina reaches out. Nina phones Jason, who later joins her at Metro Court Gardens. She needs his aid persuading Michael to allow Willow see the children without Drew. She hopes this will give her enough time to persuade Willow to drop Drew, as she no longer needs him now that she can see her children. Jason believes it could work. Willow appears unexpectedly and inquires as to the situation. Elsewhere, Marco asks his father if he believes Lucy can persuade Sunny to sell his peers. According to Sidwell, Lucy is incredibly persuasive. Marco insists, however, that Sunny will not be a problem for him for much longer. Michael tells Carly his plan. Carly stops by the QS and informs Michael that she just spoke with Nina, who believes that allowing the kids to see Willow without Drew will help Willow realize she does not need Drew. Michael admits that nothing can help Willow anymore, and no one will keep her and Drew apart. He'll have Diane postpone the visitation hearing for as long as possible, but when it does happen, he must ensure Willow receives nothing. He must protect the children from her for their own welfare. Trina wants to help her parents. Curtis asks Trina in the gallery why she believes her mother is in jeopardy. Trina tells him what Kai overheard the day Grandpa came to visit, and she wants to know what's going on. Curtis claims her mother is in a position that they are dealing with. Trina sees that he is attempting to protect her, but he is making a mistake and she can help. Curtis reveals that he and Drew are at odds, therefore he attacked her mother to get to him. If she gets involved, Drew will go after her. He assures her that her parents can manage the situation, and urges her not to discuss it with anyone. Trina claims she will not, and neither will Kai. Later, Portia meets Curtis at her office and is grateful he phoned. She knows he was with Jordan at the pool today. Curtis interrupts her and explains that he phoned her because Trina is aware that she is in problems with Drew. He recounts what Kai overheard and fortunately, he does not believe Kai will tell Drew, as this would be detrimental to Trina and the family. An unexpected press conference guests. Tracy refuses to address Drew as Quartermain at City Hall. She claims Drew took drugs and then planted them in her car to frame her, and that he should be removed from office in the same way Monica removed him from the mansion. Martin instructs Brooke Lynn to take her granny home since she is having a stroke or sundowning. Tracy lashes out at Martin, and Kai manages to get Drew off camera and out of the middle of Tracy and Martin's argument. Everyone waits by and watches as Martin and Tracy trash one another. Martin accuses Tracy of drugging the congressman. Tracy responds that she did not do such a thing, and Drew planted the ketamine in her car to frame her. Cody appears and assures Tracy that she is completely incorrect and Drew is innocent. Tracy yells out, unable to believe Cody, despite having provided him with a job and a place to live. Martin believes they should listen to Cody Bell, bring him in front of the cameras, and introduce him to the press as Mac's son. Martin inquires if Cody is claiming that Drew did not place the ketamine in Tracy's car. Cody admits he didn't. Cody informs us that he is in charge of the horses on the estate. He needed to buy some anesthesia and other materials for one of the horses' medical treatments. He borrowed Tracy's automobile because his truck was on the fritz without her knowledge. He purchased procedure supplies including ketamine. He claims Tracy is also innocent. He is the reason the rug was in her car. Tracy smiles. Martin wonders why Cody waited so long to come forward. Cody claims he does not follow the news because it is always depressing, and he only learned about these allegations today when he happened to turn on the television. Martin believes Tracy is paying him to lie, yet he pulls out a receipt for ketamine. Tracy snatches the receipt and says she'll submit it to her lawyer for validation. Martin demands the receipt and grabs for it from the stage, only to fall off and hit his face. Kai helps Martin up, and Tracy summons Drew to the stage to give his own message and conclude the meeting. Drew claims his aunt did not drug him, and will cooperate with the PCPD to determine who did. Tracy chuckles and instructs him to look in the mirror to identify the guilty culprit. Drew lashes out at Martin in his office after the press has dispersed, accusing him of failing to see what Tracy was planned because he was so intent on retribution. Martin, who is in pain after his fall, decides to go to the hospital for a checkup and limps away. Drew tells Kai that he now appears more guiltier. He needs to rebuild his reputation because he and Willow are getting married and fighting to reclaim custody of her children. However, if his name is not cleared and the judge believes he is a drug user, he will disappoint his constituents and the lady he loves. Chase discusses his speech with Cody outside the auditorium and wonders if he actually has a receipt for the ketamine. Cody confesses he's not very good at bookkeeping, but it's there somewhere. Chase is not surprised. Brooke Lynn, meantime, informs Tracy that Cody's rescue was unexpected, and she will owe him a lot of money. During the show's final moments, at his home, Sonny tells Lucy that he adores her and their friendship, and that she is a successful businesswoman. She is astute enough to recognize that this is not a scenario in which she should be involved. Lucy says she will back off, but she believes he is evaluating Sidwell based on his reputation rather than his actions. She praises him for listening to her. He compliments her for the lovely oranges. At Metro Court, Sidwell asks his son whether he knows anything about Sonny. Marco says he's stated all he can, and Sidwell understands. Sidwell wishes he didn't have to get his hands filthy to rid this community of Sunny, but he would if necessary. He then looks over to see Willow, Nina, and Jason together. Willow believes Michael sent Jason to frighten her, something Jason denies. Willow claims they are all mistaken about Drew, who is a decent man. She plans to marry him and reunite with her children. Jason thinks it's fine if she chooses that. He walks away. Jordan insists to Isaiah at the pool that there is nothing going on between her and Curtis, and she apologizes that things did not work out between them. Isaiah says he can see Sidwell wasn't the only one who came between them, and if she doesn't realize she still has feelings for her ex, she'll be in for a harsh awakening soon. Curtis informs Portia that Felicia has found Jacinda down in Australia, and he hopes to speak with her and persuade her to return and report Drew for being preoccupied with sex and drugs that night. Tracy informs Brooklyn at City Hall that Cody's betrayal of her was Michael's plan, and that a true Quartermain works hard. Drew informs Kai at his office that he will have to cancel the wedding, and everyone appears to be opposed to it. Kai informs Drew that there is something he should know. He informs the congressman about Curtis' plan and advises him to begin preparations as soon as possible if Curtis succeeds. During the Q&A, Carly assures Michael that she understands his position and has been there. She tells him that she separated him from AJ for his own benefit, and he never thanked her for it. She warns him that when his children grow up, they may not thank him for keeping them away from their mother, and may even despise him. Michael says he knows, and he'll have to deal with the consequences of his actions. On the next General Hospital, Dante tells Brooklyn that they must collaborate to reach Gio. Tracy needs to negotiate someone's payment. Cody inquires as to whether his job is already completed. Liz asks Lucas whether he believes she is leading Rick on. In a hospital bed, Martin informs Rick that he is the only person who can irritate that woman. Ava fumes at someone for lying. Sunny asks, "What is your response going to be?" The news shook Port Charles like a thunderclap. Tracy Quartermain had been cleared of all charges in the drugging of Drew Kane. For weeks, gossip swirled, suspicions grew, and relationships were tested. Drew was at the center of the storm, still dealing with the ramifications of being drugged and questioning every encounter he had before to the occurrence. He was confident Tracy had something to do with it. All signs pointed in her direction. But the official probe had revealed something unexpected. Evidence that cleared Tracy totally and revealed a far more sinister scheme. Still, in a place like Port Charles, where justice frequently moves slower than secrets, exoneration does not necessarily result in vindication. Some residents still talked behind closed doors, doubting Tracy's innocence. Others said it was simply too convenient, too perfect, that she would be exonerated just as public pressure began to build. Tracy didn't care about murmurs. She never had. What mattered to her was that her name was no longer associated with criminal accusations, which allowed her to focus on what she did best: protecting the Quartermain heritage and keeping the family under control. However, not everyone received the news well. Mike Corinthos was one of them. He hadn't believed Tracy's guilt as strongly as others had, but her history left a bad taste in his mouth. Furthermore, the entire incident had disrupted his family's balance. Drew's life had been turned upside down, and everything had spun out of control. Now that Tracy was out of harm's way, the focus had shifted to others. Willow, to be specific. Their marriage was already on rough footing. The emotional divide between them had widened in recent months. Michael initially persuaded himself it was just stress, Willow's rehabilitation, her complicated connection with Nina, and his own professional obligations. However, confronting the facts was more difficult. Trust had eroded. Slowly, then all at once. Michael had warned Willow several times that Nina Reeves was poisonous, that any further relationship with her would backfire. He realized Nina was her mother, and Willow was attempting to mend her relationship with Wiley. But his senses had told him Nina could not be trusted. And now, amid the tumult surrounding Tracy's exoneration, Michael couldn't shake the suspicion that someone had gotten to Willow. His suspicions were not unwarranted. Willow had become closer to Nina in the aftermath of her sickness. The bone marrow transplant had been a watershed moment, not only for her health but also for her heart. Against all odds, Nina saved her life. How can you turn your back on someone who has saved your life? Willow couldn't get away from that question. And in her quiet way, she had made a decision. A quiet, defiant decision to continue giving Nina chances. Michael had tolerated it. He'd bitten his tongue for Wiley's sake and Donna's. But there were boundaries. And when he discovered Willow had brought the children to see Nina without telling him, everything changed. Not only was there concealment but also betrayal. Willow strode across Michael's drawn line in the sand without hesitation. He discovered out from Olivia, who had spotted Nina in the park with the kids and thought it was sweet. That word burned in Michael's ears. Nina wasn't supposed to be around their children unless they had a chat. Not without consent. Not after all she'd done. Michael confronted Willow that evening. She was in the kitchen preparing dinner, unconscious of the impending storm. "You took the kids to see Nina," Michael began, his tone crisp and lacking of prelude. Willow pivoted, taken off guard. Yes, I did. I was about to tell you." "When?" "After she began whispering stuff into their ears." "What happened after she purchased their affection with toys and bogus promises?" Willow frowned with frustration. "She's their grandmother, Michael." Michael's jaw stiffened. "She is a liar. She's the reason our family nearly broke apart. She manipulated Sonny. She destroyed my mother's life. And now you're allowing her to come into our children's lives as if nothing happened." "She saved mine," Willow remarked gently. "So that gives her a free pass to influence you? To sneak behind my back and spend time with our children as if she were a member of the family?" "She is a member of this family," Willow stated more fiercely now. "I didn't choose it, but she is." The hush that followed was chilling. Michael drew forward, his eyes burning. "You made a decision, Willow. And now I am making one." Her breath caught. "What are you saying? Do you want Nina to be part of your life? Fine. However, she will not be a part of theirs. If you can't respect that, I'll make certain you don't see them at all." Willow looked at him, astonished. "You don't mean that." "I do," Michael answered. "I will file for full custody. I'll show the court how unstable Nina is. How she's been investigated by the SEC. How she used the truth about Sonny for her own gain. And how she's misled everyone around her for years. And if I have to demonstrate them you are under her control, I will." Willow's face turned pale. "Would you use our children against me?" "I'm protecting them." Willow shakes her head. "This is not about protection. This is about control." "It's about trust," Michael said abruptly. "And you broke it." She stared down at her hands, her voice faltering. "I just wanted to believe that people can change. That family could be healed." "Not all wounds heal, Willow. Some just rot deeper." The dispute shattered something between them. The warmth vanished at that time. They still lived under the same roof and went through the motions for Wiley and Amelia, but the distance between them was significant. Every discourse was tinted by stress. Every shared moment is tinged with something unsaid. Willow attempted to reason with him in the following days, but Michael had drawn a firm line. He filed paperwork with Diane, preparing for a custody battle he had not intended but suddenly felt justified in. Carly tried to persuade Michael to rethink, but he refused. "Willow made her choice," he told his mother. "I'm just protecting mine." Carly did not disagree about Nina. She never would. However, she was also aware of the effects of war on families. And a custody struggle would leave scars that no child deserves to bear. Meanwhile, Drew's condition improved, but the aftermath of the drugging episode left him bitter. Though Tracy was no longer a suspect, Drew couldn't shake the suspicion that he had been exploited as a pawn in a much broader game. He too grew aloof, becoming more involved with Aurora and less with the family. His relationship with Carly cooled as well, due to Michael's rage and the fact that neither of them could entirely trust the other. Carly continued wondering if Drew had withheld anything from her. Had he suspected someone else all along and simply let Tracy take the fall? The Quartermaine estate, once on the verge of another scandal, was remarkably calm. But the silence was the kind that comes after a storm, heavy with pressure, foreshadowing of more to come. Brooke Lynn attempted to serve as a buffer, particularly for Willow, who had no pals left in the Quartermaine family. Even Olivia, who had always liked Willow, backed away, unhappy with the battle lines being set. Everyone was taking sides. For the first time, Willow felt alone. She began writing down everything, including her thoughts, concerns, and excuses. Maybe for the custody case or simply to make sense of it all. In her journal, she revealed things she couldn't express openly, such as how she still believed in redemption, even after everyone else had given up. That part of her found humanity in Nina, despite her flaws. Being a mother did not imply agreeing with Michael. Rather, it required fighting for her children's right to love, even if it was messy and confusing. However, courts do not make decisions based on personal feelings. They make decisions based on evidence. Michael had plenty. Then came the mediation session. Both parties were needed to appear before the formal custody hearing could begin. It was tense from the beginning. Diane sat beside Michael, calm and serene. Willow arrived with Alexis, looking tired and defiant. The mediator listened as both sides presented their perspectives. Michael highlighted Nina's history of manipulation, the SEC controversy, and the hazards to the children. Willow responded with personal development, treatment documents, and her own clean parenting record. But the most powerful moment came when Michael looked Willow in the eyes and said, "You can choose Nina or the kids. Not both." Willow did not respond. She only stared at him, devastated. Outside the courthouse, she stood alone on the steps, the wind tugging on her coat. She glanced out over the town she had grown to love, wondering how it had gotten to this point. How a decision meant to heal had escalated into a battle. How the guy who had previously knelt by her bedside in tears, praying for her recovery, suddenly stood across a courtroom, ready to take her children away. Michael, looking from the other side of the street, thought the same thing. He did not want to hurt her. He never had. But something within him had cracked. The betrayal, the lies, the pain. They had hardened into something unbreakable. Something he could not ignore. In the days that followed, the custody case proceeded along. Subpoenas were served. Nina was formally identified as a potential threat. Her documents were obtained and her past examined. Sonny tried to remain out of it, but he couldn't stop the ripple effects. Everything was shifting. And Port Charles, a community based on secrets, was about to witness what happened when every truth was brought to light. The General Hospital recap on Tuesday, June 24th, reports that Lucy Coe had lunch with Jen Sidwell and Marco Rios, who hinted about his failed bid for Sonny Corinthos Piers. Lucy wanted to be a part of the sale and believed she could still make it happen, so she set out to try. When Marco was alone with Sidwell, he mentioned that Sonny would no longer be a barrier for his father, but he couldn't elaborate. Sidwell admitted that he did not want to get his hands dirty when it came to Sonny, but he would if necessary. Jordan Ashford argued with Portia Robinson at the Metro Court pool over her marital issues and who was truly to blame. When Jordan claimed Portia only had herself to blame, she flung a drink in her face. Isaiah Gannon attempted to calm things down, and Jordan thanked him personally. However, Isaiah saw that Curtis Ashford, like Sidwell, was an obstacle in his own romantic hopes with Jordan. In the gallery, Trina Robinson explained what Kai Taylor overheard about Curtis' Jacinda scheme. After Curtis pretended that Portia was in difficulty with Drew because of him, he urged Trina to keep out of it. Curtis vowed to notify Trina if things worsened and was reassured that she would keep silent beside Kai. When Portia met Curtis, she was ready to discuss Jordan, but he swiftly moved the conversation to Trina instead. Curtis recapped his meeting with Trina and hoped Kai would not tell Drew about the Jacinda scam. Tracy stayed firm at the press conference, claiming Drew Kane placed the ketamine vial to frame her. But Cody Bell came and argued she was mistaken. Martin Gray was delighted to have Cody as Drew's defender, but he soon realized this was not what Cody had in mind. Instead, Cody took the podium and explained that he borrowed Tracy's truck when one of the horses needed medical attention. Cody said that he had mistakenly left the ketamine vial in Tracy's car. Cody supplied a crumpled receipt from the vet to validate the order, but Martin suspected it was doctored. Tracy was confident it could be authenticated and insisted on bringing it to her lawyer. At one time, Martin face-planted in front of everyone, injuring his back. Drew was forced to make a statement about Tracy appearing to be exonerated after Cody insisted Tracy was innocent and Drew had not framed anyone. Drew insisted on working closely with the PCPD to identify the true culprit, but Tracy believed he should simply look in the mirror. Drew shouted at Martin after the press conference because he appeared more guiltier after all of the commotion. Martin then went to Jish to have his back looked out after his mishap. Drew was concerned about having to cancel his wedding to Willow because his reputation had taken another knock. When Drew expressed fear about Willow Tate losing her children for good, Kai revealed Curtis' plan to entice Jacinda to speak out against Drew. Kai wanted Drew to know so he could prepare. Tracy was impressed with Cody's performance and revealed to Brooklyn Quartermaine that it was Michael Corinthos' idea. Meanwhile, Nina Reeves convinced Carly Spencer that if she could persuade Michael to give Willow a large visitation schedule, she would not be able to turn it down, even if Drew couldn't accompany her. Nina predicted that Willow would eventually realize she didn't need Drew's support to have children, and that would mark the beginning of the end of their relationship. Carly insisted that Drew was still making decisions for Willow and refused to assist Nina in this matter. At the Quartermaine mansion, Michael threatened that if Willow married Drew, she would never see their children again. Willow felt Michael was simply afraid of her prevailing in court, and held firm on the Drew marriage idea. When Willow did win, she said she would try to be more compassionate than Michael. Willow mentioned flying all the way to Germany only to have Michael turn her down, but Michael insisted this never happened. Michael accused Drew of being a destructive, manipulative fraud, while Willow defended him. Willow stormed out after vowing to marry Drew and regain custody of her children. At Sonny Corinthos' house, he spoke with Jason Morgan about acting Justine Turner losing her star witness soon. Sonny expected Natalia Ramirez to deliver the incriminating data and accept his Belize offer. Sonny was unconcerned about Natalia betraying him or disclosing Sidwell's secrets, but he knew Sidwell would retaliate for the botched Pier deal. Lucy later arrived with a bunch of oranges and attempted to complete the deal after all, but Sonny declined. Nina summoned Jason to meet on the Metro Court patio, and he became her backup ally after Carly refused to assist. Nina hoped Jason could persuade Michael to consent to visitation and assist cancel Willow's wedding to Drew. Willow interrupted Jason and Nina's conversation, assuming Michael had sent Jason to scare her mother. Willow insisted on marrying Drew and Jason shrugged. Back with Carly, she told Michael about Nina's request for help in stopping Willow's wedding. Michael intended to postpone the visitation hearing as long as possible, thus ensuring Willow received nothing. Carly warned Michael that Wiley and Amelia Corinthos would dislike him when they grew up, but Michael had to do it and face the consequences. According to General Hospital spoilers, Michael and Willow will face more custody issues, so be tuned for more terrible news and fierce fighting. According to General Hospital teasers for Wednesday, June 25th, Dante Falconeri will meet with Brooklyn Quartermaine and stress that they must work together in order to reach Giovanni Gio Palmieri. While Brooklyn and Dante plan how to contact Gio, Tracy Quartermaine will meet with Cody Bell and suggest they discuss his payment. Cody stepped up for Tracy, telling a fake narrative about borrowing her car, and mistakenly left the ketamine vial inside due to a horse surgery. Tracy intends to reward Cody generously, but it appears that she may have another assignment for him to perform first. Cody will eventually obey some fresh directions, so stay tuned for updates on what Tracy might ask him to do next. Lucas Jones will witness an intimate moment between Rick Lansing and Elizabeth Baldwin on General Hospital. Lucas will be concerned that Liz may give Rick the wrong notion. "Do you believe I am leading Rick on?" Elizabeth inquires Lucas in Wednesday's preview video. Martin Gray fell flat on his face and damaged his back at the news conference. That is why Martin will be hospitalized and receive some bad news, most likely concerning the injuries he incurred. When Rick pays him a visit, Martin will suggest that if anybody can irritate that woman, it is Rick. We'll see if Martin is referring to Alexis Davis, who is usually the one who irritates Rick the most. Whatever the situation, Alexis will want a conversation with Elizabeth during Wednesday's episode. That will allow Elizabeth and Alexis to discuss Christina Corinthos Davis' role in the automobile accident, now that Liz is aware of her sabotage mistake. Alexis may seek assurances that Elizabeth will not report Christina for cutting the brakes on the wrong car. Although Liz clearly disagrees with Christina's actions, she is ready to keep her mouth silent in order to keep Alexis' daughter out of jail. Ava Jerome would fume, muttering to herself about a lying liar. Will Ava understand Cody's game? Or is this part of Christina's attempt to turn her on Rick instead? Sonny Corinthos will then communicate with someone to find out what their response will be. This could include another meeting with Natalia Ramirez, who must decide whether to turn up the incriminating documents and accept a new life in Belize.